All right, I'm going to show you how to put keepers in. This is a 4G63. This thing's a little easier than a B16. But anyway, I always compress my spring. You see on this, let me zoom in here. Your valve stem here, you want to compress your spring seat, your top one, to the bottom right there. That's as far as you want to go. You got this right here. This is the top. You want this at that little groove at the bottom. You want it to be sitting there so your keeper doesn't drop all the way down on there. You see how I got that keeper in there? I've got it to where it'll just fall down in there. You'll get one in there. Now, you'll need this pick, a pick like this, and you'll be able to move this spring around. You can, on your compressor, you can move this thing around whichever direction, give you a little bit more room. But what I'd try to do is once I get that thing in that groove, you don't want to drop this spring seat too far, because then this here won't fall in the groove. It'll try to go down further. So what I usually do is I'll try to get it in that groove, and it's going to be hard for me to do this with one hand because I got to be able to move that spring. And this is not going to work for me. Yeah, this ain't going to work. That's the best I can do. Hopefully it doesn't move. But anyway, you'll take this little pick and you'll move this thing and you'll move that spring and you'll just kind of work that thing around to the end of it. See, it'll keep going around, but you want it to stay in that groove. If it falls below that, it's going to cause you some problems. Now, that'll give you enough room. You see there's the things on the other side. That'll give you enough room, and you always want to clean your keepers off. If there's any oil or dirt or anything, always wipe them off before you start, because if you get a little dirt down in there, it's going to cause you a lot of problems. You'll have to pull back out and restart over again. But anyway, I can usually do this with my fingers. You'll want to taper it in. Tapered in, the sharp end down, and then you got the groove. You see the top, the groove right there? That goes up. So I'll kind of just push this down in there, move that spring over just a little bit just to get this thing started. Well, that didn't go as planned. This is the one that didn't go as planned. The rest of them I've done pretty easy. Trying to video it, so kind of wanting to screw you in this stuff makes it harder than what it is, instead of just getting straight to the point and getting it done. But anyway, this little pick comes in handy. Now, if you get it and you get it wedged down in there and you move that spring over, you see that? Now, sometimes right where you're sitting there, you got it at the bottom, that thing's not seated all the way down in that groove. All you have to do is kind of just turn your spring compressor down just a little bit, but make sure that thing doesn't come out of there. And then move your spring a little bit. We'll try to keep that thing from popping out and hold this phone at the same stinking time. This is not working. I had this thing so easy. I was putting these things in there like crazy until I went to go to make this video. And my other keepers done dropped down further. Okay, it's working out anyway. Okay, now once you're in that groove, you'll push down on it just a little bit to make sure it's, and push it up a little bit. That way it doesn't try to pop out of that groove. And then kind of slowly just kind of twist this up out of there. And then the way it's going to look is like that right there. That's the way it's going to look. Now on top of here, another thing is I'll give you some advice. One of these Carter keys or whatever you want to call it comes in handy. You can still twist it the way you're supposed to and flip it over. But when you get so far out, you can kind of just stick your finger in there and just spin it. Spin it, it's a lot quicker. But anyway, I hope this helps you. When you get done with all these, you'll get those things down in there. What you'll want to do is you'll go over and get you a socket and an extension that'll fit down on that, like so. A socket extension about, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches long, and you'll tap it with a hammer on each top of these. You don't have to kill it. You just have to just tap it to make sure these things are nice and seated. You don't want these things coming loose, or, you know, one of them didn't seat real well or whatever. All of mine look pretty good. They look all closed up, but I am definitely going to double check it. Always do, just to make sure there's no dirt or anything that's gotten caught to where it's not allowing those keepers to set where they're supposed to. But I hope this helps you out. Like and subscribe, and share my videos. Thanks.